Roads are the modern-day way we connect with the greater world, put in place to give us a way to journey to new horizons. I-24, the northbound highway in Tennessee, along with I-65, is no exception. However, once a year, these roads become a passageway to connect two warring factions. Middle Tennessee State and Western Kentucky strive to have control over their domain. That much is settled with the winner of a journey that takes 100 miles of hate to travel. To go the 100-mile distance, you must start over 100 years ago, 1914, the first year these bitter rivals clashed, which would lead to a severe roadblock for the Hilltoppers, as they lost 47-0 to the Blue Raiders. To date, their largest margin of victory in the series. Not to be outdone, Western Kentucky would attain their own lopsided win in 1978, 54-0, the largest win in the entire series. Speaking of points, in 2009, MTSU sent Western Kentucky into a road-blocked lane, piling up 62 points, the most ever scored in the game. Perhaps you are not as big of a fan of John Wayne Western-style shootouts. Let's take it down a few miles per hour, with Middle's number 7, Zaylen Wood, who terrorizes opposing offenses this season, forcing turnovers and pick sixes left and right. WKU is no slouch on defense either, forcing teams to stop on offense as they are second in the nation in forced turnovers. Looking around the bend this season, these two teams share another commonality, both standing at a 3-3 record. Both teams have multiple lanes to travel this year and hope this game is the one way to victory. If there's one player that drives the Blue Raiders down the field, it's number 83, Jalen Express Lane. This guy can accelerate in both left and right lanes and has an incredible 93 yards receiving per game this season. Complementing him is a man who has the force of a semi, trucking down the interstate, Frank the Tank Peason. Peason is averaging a powerfully earned 57 yards per game this season. Crossing paths throughout the history of hate, these teams faced one another 71 times. That kind of legacy makes the game mean as much as any car game on a road trip. Halfway into this trip, it's easily seen. This rivalry is like a game that goes around in circles repeatedly. Both MTSU and WKU stand at a record of 35, 35, and 1 against each other. So this year's game will determine who's in the passing lane for the rivalry. Snapping a streak can sometimes be as difficult as weaving through rush hour traffic, something the Blue Raiders know all too well. For 10 straight games in the 1920s and early 30s, MTSU did not win a single game. Despite wrong turns, both teams always come into this game holding the belief that the other will be no match for their might. 100 miles might mark the physical end of this trip, but the journey will always continue.